The 2012 Election Afterthoughts, segment 5, and the final segment. So you lost. Now what? Your hopes and dreams. This is for the candidates, but more importantly for the supporters. You hoped that you would win. You put all your effort in supporting your candidate, and they lost. First of all, don't whine. Don't cast blame. No one likes a sore loser. And it is not the end of the world. In spite of all the rhetoric that said 4 more years, the end of America, it's not. It's not for a couple reasons. Because first, if we talk about the presidential election, the president, while powerful, is not the power in Washington. Congress has most of the power. And those things that you fear are going to happen, they can be changed. In addition to that, don't be a sore loser, because we're Americans. We don't have to give up because the battle went bad. If we as Americans had done that, look at our history. World War II did not start out so well for us. In the Civil War, the North didn't do so good. We had struggles, but we overcame them. So don't be a sore loser. Number 2, remember, those of you who are going back to Congress, you won, but the party lost. You won, but the presidential candidate lost. Remember, you still represent all of us. You represent the people you disagree with. You represent the 51% who voted for the other guy. Don't forget that, because we're your bosses. Remember that you are representing all of us. And number 3, do your job. You weren't elected to push political thoughts. You weren't elected to just pad your career. You were elected to get things done. And there's a lot that needs to be done. There's a dirty word I'm going to use now. Please don't get upset. Compromise. I know. Don't cover your ears. Take your hands off your ears. Compromise. It's not a dirty word. This country was founded on compromise. If you go back and you look at the creation of the Constitution, compromises all through it. Good compromises, bad compromises. But compromises were what made this country work. Now, I know there's some who say, well, liberals, when they say compromise, they want Republicans to give up all their ideas. And the conservatives, I mean, it says the other way too. Liberals say the same thing about conservatives. That's not compromise. Compromise is understanding that in this country, we don't have one mindset. We have good, honest, decent Americans who disagree on what kind of taxation we should have, what we should do about illegal immigrants, what we should do about infrastructure, about Iran, about how we address Europe. We have a wide variety of viewpoints, and we can't always get everything we want. And often, we get what we want, not in one big chunk, I'm going to take it and do it, but we make a compromise here, it gets us one step closer to here, and then we get another step closer to here. We've had 4 years of nothing getting done. And we can point the blame game. Republicans were obstructionist. Democrats didn't do anything. You had filibusters from the Republican side because they're a minority. You had the Democrats who decided that instead of following the Constitution and having a majority rule, they had to put the 60-vote majority, or any number of things. I like to look at this election and say the American people said, okay, we gave you a chance before, you didn't do it. You didn't get things accomplished that needed to be accomplished. We're going to give you one more shot. You're going to push the reset button, and we'll give you another shot. Because look, the basic status quo is the same. The House is controlled by the Republicans. They gained a few seats. The Senate is controlled by the Democrats. They gained a few seats. And the president is Barack Obama, a Democrat. Now, for those of you who lost, You vehemently, many of you, can't stand the president. Many of you think Democrats are the evilest thing in the world. They're your fellow Americans. I heard commentators saying that 50% of Americans are takers. They look at the Democratic Party as if it's just a party of leeches and poor, welfare queen, lazy bums. Sorry, it's not. You can't have a campaign that spent that much money all being made by the lowest income in the whole country. So this stereotyping and fighting isn't going to help us. And one thing we have to remember, we are all in this together. If this looming financial crisis where Congress, I point the finger at you, you didn't do your job last year, and now we have this looming crisis that if you don't do your job, taxes are going through the roof for all of us. Defense is going to be slashed in an unprecedented way and in a bad way. And those rock solid safety nets are going to be ripped open. Do your job. And you're not going to get that job done by insisting on, I signed the pledge. I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't do that. Break your pledge if you have to. America is in this together. And I'm going to stick by my, quote, principles. I'll get back to principles in a minute. Are you willing to sacrifice the country for all those principles? Because I got to tell you, friends, some of these principles I hear spouting off were different 4 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I believe in principles. I believe you should have a core foundation of what is right and what is wrong. But I also believe that much of what's done in Congress has nothing to do with absolute core values. It has to do with shades of it. The bottom line is we elect you to get stuff done that we by ourselves cannot do. So you lost this election. I told the winners not to gloat. I told the winners to do their job. I'm going to tell you the same thing. Do your job. And for those of you who are disheartened and upset because Barack Obama's back in office, because the Democrats still own the House, I understand. I feel that. But we don't fix that by saying, I'm not going to have anything to do with that, and tell me, representative, don't you dare work with the president. Don't you dare work with those Democrats, because you're going to suffer from it. That's what just blows my mind. If we don't fix these issues, if we don't find a way to bring together these differing views on all kinds of subjects and find a way to move and fix them step by step, we're all going to suffer. Those of you who are saying, don't move an inch, don't change a thing, you're going to suffer along with the people you think are bums. So let's get something done. All right, folks, that's been the last installment of the 2012 Election Afterthoughts. You can hear Another Voice with Jason and Eric on Mondays, 1 to 2 p.m. on Spin FM 103.3, as well as on canIGetAWordIn.com. You can find our podcast there. Or you can subscribe to our iTunes channel at Another Voice with Jason and Eric. And remember to go by Fowler's Pharmacy on 1908 Lawrence Road to get your prescriptions filled. They are a great neighborhood pharmacy. You'll get to the right medicines. You'll get to use your insurance, but you get that personal touch from a neighborhood pharmacy. That's Fowler's Pharmacy, Greenville's neighborhood pharmacy, 1908 Lawrence Road. Have a great night, folks.